Hi guys, my name's Ian and I'm the head coach at Tri Club. And today we've got a very special guest from the world of Ironman. He needs no real introduction. In fact, I'm going to let him introduce himself. He says those 4 magic words as you run down the red carpet. So over to my guest, Mike Reilly.
Well, you're asking me to talk about me, which I usually never do. I'm the one talking about everybody else. That's what I do. I'm Mike Reilly. I live in San Diego, California, actually a town outside of San Diego called Poway, P-O-W-A-Y, out in horse country. And, Ian said, the voice of Iron Man, I've been on the microphone one way or another for the last 40 years in endurance sports, running, marathons, emceeing award shows, and obviously finish lines all over the world. So I'm an author. It's weird for me to say I'm an author because it just happened, after thinking about writing a book for so many years. And then the last year I put one out. So I penned Mike Reilly, Finding My Voice, the Tales from Ironman, which is the world's greatest endurance event. And in short, that's who I am.
Now, obviously you're doing a lot there and thanks for giving us the overview, but can you tell me a little bit more in detail about your story in sport, work, and how you got into the Ironman commentary stuff as well?
Well, being in San Diego, it was born and bred triathlon. So we were doing mini triathlons in the late 70s, early 80s. I then was co-race director and announcer of the first ever professional triathlon here in Solana Beach, California, right on the beach, with Tinley and Allen and Molina. So I grew up with it. We'd go working out every week, riding the bike, and I was just immersed with it. But it was running where I got my start with announcing, because it was 1978 or 79. I got it in the book with the correct date because I had to check that long time ago. Anyway, I was at a 10K race at Mission Bay where a lot of the racers will run, beautiful area of San Diego. And I had a bad hamstring, so I couldn't run. So the race took off. And the race director, who I knew, she came up to me and she said, what are you doing? Why aren't you running? I said, well, I got a bad hammy. I can't run. She goes, well, I got this microphone with this speaker, stand-up speaker, and here's a printout of all the entrants. There's about, there's about 400 or 500 in the race. And a lot of people. So why don't you call their name out when they come across? And I'm going, all right. And, I did public speaking. I was part of Toastmasters. It didn't, and my first thought, Ian, was, oh my gosh, I get to crank or make fun of my friends as they're coming across. Like, next time you can run faster. That went through my head. I go, yeah, that'll be cool. So I just started announcing people's names as they came across, and I saw how they just kind of perked up and like they pointed at me. Oh my God, thank you. And, your name's like your number one possession. And people came up to me afterwards. Thank you very much for, acknowledging me coming through. And all I did was acknowledge them. Like I thought I'd like to be acknowledged if I came racing through the line and felt good or bad. And so that's how it all started.
That's incredible. And to go from there to Ironman, how did that happen?
Well, I was always jealous because so many of the San Diego people in the 80s were heading over to Kona, and I wasn't. I was a sales rep for a bunch of different lines in the sports business, Power Bar and Saucony. And so I was working a lot but training a lot and working out with them, doing running races, running marathons, doing triathlons, and everybody would go and I'd be so jealous. And then in 1989, I got the call, would you like to come to Kona and be an assistant announcer with Mike Plant, who just recently passed away, God bless his soul. It's like being called in up to the big leagues, and you're a big football league there, FC, and you go, oh my gosh, or Major League Baseball. And it's just, I just thought I died and went to heaven. Like, are you kidding me? I'm going to Kona to work. It was great.
Yeah. That's incredible. It is getting called up to the big leagues, and well done for that. And obviously you've had a few years of doing this now, and you're now doing commentary of the VR series. So how's that going?
Oh, fantastic. Ironman VR was instituted obviously when this all came out. Gives people a way to still compete in some fashion against themselves and against others, mixing it up with the pros, on the women usually on Saturday, the men pros on Sunday on a specified course. And I get to do interviews of age group athletes and show people that. Last week, Siri Lindley, the coach out of Colorado, former world champion who battling cancer. And that was just one of the most moving interviews I ever had the opportunity to do. So the VR series is keeping everything out in the forefront for Ironman. And I'm very happy to be a part of it. And we're going weekend after weekend.
Absolutely. It's really good. I actually took part in the Ironman VR7 event and just about managed to finish. I've not done a 1,500 meter race in a while, let's say, since I was 15. And yeah, it's hard. It hurt.
Yeah, I know.
Now, from these VR races and the Ironman events that you've done over the years, what are some of your top moments?
People always ask me that, and it's very hard to answer. Chapter 17 of my book is my best call ever. I'm not going to give that out because you can go read it, but it was a family member. So people that I have known do Ironmans that I've been close to, those are very special calls because they're personal calls. But everybody's personal to me. I mean, Ironman is a family. It's Ohana, as we say in Hawaii. It's family, and when I'm able to bring someone in, is for me to say one is greater than another takes away from one, and I won't do that. Sure, there's been great championships I've seen over the years, bringing in Craig Alexander, bringing in Chrissy Wellington, bringing in Jan Frodeno, bringing in Marinda Carfrae and Daniela Reef. I mean, think about it. I have the opportunity to call them world champions, and it gives me goosebumps thinking about that now because it's an honor and it's humbling to be able to do that. But then I get to call in age groupers who have gone through, physical struggles, mental struggles, and I know their backstory is unbelievable. And when I have the opportunity to call them an Ironman, as I've written, it's not about them crossing the finish line, it's who they become. So I know that call is everything in life to a lot of people because it's a culmination of their very difficult journey. And so when people ask me, what's your best call or the top moments, there's thousands of them, it's amazing. Sometimes when I think about that question, I start seeing some. I just saw Sarah Reinerson. I just saw Daryl Haley, the first NFL player to do it. I just saw Rick and Dick Hoyt come across the finish. It's like a movie flying through my head of those finishes. They're all with me and they're all a part of me. And
it's incredible. And like you say, you've been a part of all their stories, and what a place to be. Especially, I remember Rick and Dick Hoyt. I think they were probably the first video that I ever watched of Ironman. I mean, calling them across the line must have been something else.
It was almost like when I saw him first, and I read about it, I saw him go into the water, and I didn't know that was 89. I go, well, what is this? There's a guy down there pulling a raft with a kid in it. Are you kidding me? And then somebody told me the story, and I go, in my head, I'm thinking, can they finish? Yeah, and they did, and that was a glorious moment for them, for us, for the sport, showing what, and the father and son bond. I mean, it was so powerful. It transcended Ironman. It was life, and Ironman was its stage. So we were honored to be there, and I was honored to be able to call it.
Obviously, you've called a lot of people across the line who struggle with various diseases and have had various struggles in a number of ways. In terms of, for this YouTube channel, for sport and mental health, how has sport helped you with your mental health and to stay physically and mentally well in particular?
Yeah, we go through a lot of struggles in life, and we go through a lot of struggles over 140.6 miles, 226K of an Ironman. And, when you're able to physically take yourself through some tough times, it helps balance the mental end of it. I'm not a doctor. I don't know all the aspects of it, but I do know what people have told me. When they're having mental struggles, this helps them cope. It
Yeah.
helps them transform themselves into somebody else. It helps heal them. And mental struggles can be something you're born with, happens to you. PTSD, I talk about that a lot. And, with our first responders and our military. And I've been told over and over again, and been told by a United States Marine who put an M16 in his mouth on New Year's Eve before he left Iraq, and he wanted to end his life. But he, at that moment, decided his family, it was about his family. He goes, they won't know what to tell people. It'd be terrible that they have to tell him I did this. So he didn't do it. That's how close he came. And he found the triathlon, he found Ironman, and he says it saved his life. And it keeps him mentally balanced. And sure, there's mental issues out there, and people are on medications and whatever they need to do. But the physical aspect of putting your body through some tough times, I've been told really helps the mental side of you. It keeps you balanced, and it lets you know. I mean, we've had Ironman athletes that have shared with me their suicide notes, and but didn't do it because there was something said to them at the finish line that helped them on the healing process down that road, or something their family member said to them when they finished a race or a run. And I'm not talking everybody needs to do an Ironman, whether the 5K run or walking around the block or getting off the couch and moving your body in a direction. Because when you're moving forward, that's positive. If we all walk backwards, that's negative. So if you keep moving forward some way, shape, or form physically, that's a positive juice in your body. It gives you something that you don't get sitting on the couch, but you don't get, saying, woe is me. I've never heard anybody at the end of the race and go or say, I'm so depressed. I've never heard that. I've never seen that in their eyes. I've never felt it in their souls. All I see is, wow, this positive aura emitting from them when they come across the finish line.
How have you found it's affected your mental health over the years? So have you had any moments where you think, actually, stuff's a bit tough, and, doing swim, bike, run, or whatever it is, it has helped me?
It's kept me balanced, and all of us have some kind of struggle internally, struggle with relationships, struggle with work, struggle with things in our lives that we don't believe we have control over. But I think the way it's helped me, because I've seen so many positive attitudes, is we have to create that positive attitude within us because we have control over that. There's other things outside our life we don't have control over. We don't have control over how people think of us or things they say to us. But if you let that affect you, it's going to affect you in a negative way. So the way it's helped me is it's helped me keep balanced. I travel a lot, and it's a strain on a relationship. I've been married almost 45 years, and there's been up and downs with that because of the my kids growing up, and I always tried to be home for every major thing, but you couldn't always. And you've got that push and pull, and there's a lot of people out there that have to travel for work or be away from home, whether it's the mom or dad or each partner, whatever it may be, and it's tough. So the thing that helps me too is I've got my family, which is everything to me, and I've got the family outside of my home, which is the Ironman family, which is also everything to me. So it's helped tremendously. And when I see someone go through something in their life, mentally not wanting to live anymore, to come back from that, I go, wow, look what they did. What am I complaining about? Why am I a little bit down today? And our biggest motivator in life is yourself. We can listen to every motivational speaker. You can say, oh, I want to hear what Mike would have to say, or this person would have to say, or Ian would have to say. And at the end of the day, it's what I say to myself, get off your bum, get yourself moving, and figure out why you're a little down right now. Let's figure this thing out. And usually what I end up doing, I start what's the first thing I can do? I'll go jump on the bike. I'll go swim. I'll go run. And when I'm riding, everything seems to go away. I'm that 12-year-old kid on a bike again, having the time of my life. And when I get done with that, it's like, all right, it's fine. It's like it just kind of, it didn't disappear, but it doesn't affect me as it did before I left for that ride.
Absolutely. Now, talking about the people that you've brought over the line, you're actually hitting quite a big milestone soon. And what number is that? And out of interest, what's your favorite event to call people across the line for as well?
Well, it's easy for me to say Kona because it's the World Championship and everybody agrees with that. I could say Lake Placid because, that I was there on year 1 in 99 and been there every year since. I've been at every Wisconsin, coming over to Ireland. I've done Frankfurt. I mean, there's so many that could be favorites, but truthfully, my most favorite Ironman is the one I'm at. I live in that moment of that race. And for me to go to an Ironman race and somebody say, well, this is not your favorite, that other one's your favorite. Well, people like categorizing and putting number on things or wanting one to be the best over another. But it's truly the Ironman I'm at is my most favorite Ironman. Why wouldn't it be? Those people, I got 2,500 souls going to come across the finish line. Those are going to be my most favorite calls that day.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's almost like having an iron mind there, isn't it? Now, sorry about the cheesy pun. Now, you guys at Ironman support the Ironman Foundation and IRONAID. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'm the ambassador captain for the Ironman Foundation, and it's truly an honor because we go into the communities that the races are at and give to those communities. The COVID-19 IRONAID is helping healthcare facilities and communities that we race in. That's what that money is raised for. And to be able to be a part of, after the hurricane came through Houston area, we went the next year and rebuilt houses, and we've gone to Guatemala, to Puerto Rico. We've gone all over the world and, help communities and donate to build a swimming pool. I mean, Ironman goes into communities and it's sometimes a strain on the community, but they want us, but we want to make sure we leave something behind. And that's what the Ironman Foundation does. And that's why I'm a part of it, because that community had accepted us into their homes, into their hearts, to put on this great event so all of our athletes can race in beautiful places, whether it's Austria or Frankfurt or the Wales or wherever it may be. And to be able to leave behind something with those communities is the best. And that's what the Ironman Foundation does.
And is that where the Ironman Aid money goes to? Is it the foundation?
Yeah, it goes to foundation, which then goes to health facilities that need help in those communities. That's where it's being distributed to.
And obviously people can donate via the Ironman website, I presume.
Yes, the IronmanFoundation.org, and you can donate there. And we just did a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week ride where we had every hour scheduled, night and day. Wow. And oh my gosh, what did we raise? I think $160,000. Wow. And I was on an hour with a few people, and it was great. So think about it, for 24 hours, 7 straight days. We were riding. We were all linked up, riding hour after hour for the IRONAID.
That's incredible. I wonder what the average FTP was across the 24.
Well, you know what I did? So, some people were on the call that I was on. It was a Zoom call, and they were kind of riding. Well, I had set up, I think it was Indian Wells, the Palm Springs 40K course, bike course. Yeah, so I wanted to. So I'm like halfway in climbing this hill, and I go, how come everybody's not like me? I was the only one like racing a course, while they were talking to me and everything, because I just didn't want to spin,
Yeah, sure.
But most everybody was on a course of some kind and working hard for those, 7 days.
Well, if you want a tough course, try the Ironman Wales course.
I know, I've seen that. I got to jump on that. That thing, you got to be kidding me. I'm a climber, in San Diego, Southern California, we got so I'm a climber, but it's amazing when you're going up like a, 9% grade. I've got 8-9% grades here. You get up it and you breathe. Those, why are they harder when you're in your in your garage or down in your basement. I mean, it's just, those are tough rides.
Yeah. It sort of, it pushes you to your limits when you're doing those turbo sessions, doesn't it? Especially when you're sweating indoors in the heat as well.
I know. Yeah, I think maybe the VR series may bring people's bike times down on the courses. Who knows? They're working so hard.
Be interesting to see their heart rates on the VR series versus normally.
Yeah. Exactly.
Now, you talked a little bit about your book. So what's your book about?
It's not about me. I didn't want to write, about me. I mean, I talk a little bit about what the details of announcing, what the day we announcers go through, and I put everybody in, because it's an honor for me to know that the Paul Kays of the world, or the Joanne Murphys, or the Pete Murrays in Australia, or the Dave Downey, or the Tom Zebarts, or whomever it may be, there's so many races I can't be at them all, are calling people an Ironman. And so I kind of went through that world in it. But then it's about stories of inspiration, stories of a mom and dad losing a kindergarten daughter to a school shooting, and Ironman was a big part of their life, and they make sure they kept that, because this little girl just loved Ironman and come to the races and would ask me if I would call her dad an Ironman again. And that it was tough to write about it, but the at the end, when he came over and did Kona, and I could see the family was healing, and the sport was helping him do that. It's stories like that. I wrote about the professionals, some of them who I believe have so much class, and they exemplify what I believe a professional athlete should be. And it's not about my opinion of them. It's just things I saw that I go, that is just a class act. Craig Alexander, when I first saw him win his first Kona, and seeing him at the after party, and he and his wife Neri were just over in the corner by themselves. I walked over and said, Craig, what do you guys, we're all partying, drinking. I mean, it was after the award ceremony, it's a long week. I go, you're a world. He goes, yeah, we just can't believe it, Mike. We're just kind of in awe of this. And they were just like two little kids who were in awe of being a part. I go, and here he was at the top of the sphere. He was the world champion. And I found that so classy. I found that they were so humbled by it, and just because it's who they are, and they haven't changed because of that. And I talk about in the book, like I said, the PTSD, and with our service people, and funny stories I've seen. Oh my gosh, I've seen some stuff. I go, why did he do that? I mean, people always try to get a laugh sometimes at the finish line, or coming out of the water, and I acknowledge it, and sometimes I just say, are you kidding me? You really just did that? And then the crowd would laugh, because I'm just thinking what they're thinking, and I'm saying it out loud. So I go through a lot of that, and the toughest part about writing the book, Ian, was I had to leave stuff out. But I wasn't going to write a Bible. I mean, I had to leave things out, and that was tough. But I've seen some incredible things, and that's what I wanted to write about. And I've had people read the book who, are not Ironman athletes, or maybe spouses of Ironman. I think, Mike, I would never do an Iron, but this book inspired me, because if these people can do what they did, then I can be better at my job. I can be better in my relationships, or better parent, because I know there's a better way. And that was more satisfying than anything. It wasn't about me talking about, oh my gosh, that guy goes so fast. It wasn't about that. It was about, my gosh, they got to the finish line when they had that behind them, and now they're a different person, and they're going down a better path. That's what the book's about.
That's incredible. Talking about the finish line and people doing funny things when they go across it, what's some of the funniest things that you've seen then?
Oh gosh, I had a guy at Ironman Louisville come down the chute, and as he was coming down, he turned around. A lot of people turn around and wave to the crowd, or go back and high five somebody, and before they come across the line. He had the chute by himself, and he turned around, put his hands on his hips on his pants, and he was going to moon the finish line with the crowd. And I'm going, and I'm looking, there's kids there, and I at first I go, no way, this guy's not going to do this. So right away, I, almost like a father figure, I raised my voice. I go, you better not do that or you'll be DQ'd for life. I mean, that's all I could think of. Like I can DQ the guy for life. But you know, it's like, what was it? Because he heard me kind of yell at him and he stopped. He didn't pull his pants down and he ran through the finish line. I go, good for you, buddy. You are an Ironman. He's like waving to me. And so, you know, things like that. I've had dogs run through. Where'd that dog come from? We got a dog coming through, you know, and there's all kinds of things. Yeah. Well, 4 legs are better than 2, I guess. You know, he's a doggone good. And people were yelling stuff out in the crowd, other things that I would, that's a good one. I repeated about the dog coming through, you know. So I've just seen so many different things. I've seen people come up to the start line at the swim. Everybody's zipped up in the wetsuit, and this one guy comes up and he's got it halfway zipped down, and his arms aren't in the sleeves.
Right.
And he's going getting his goggles fixed. I go, dude, you may want to put your wetsuit up. He goes, it is, and he goes like this, and then he goes, oh my God. You know, so we went to the side, we helped him zip. Can you imagine him in the water swimming and the arms are flapping in the back? He really thought he was he goes, I am, until he touched himself and that's my skin. I guess I'm not. So I just, you know, you got nervous energy and just a lot of, I write about more crazy finishes and funny stuff that's happened.
That's incredible. Now, to anyone who wants to find your book online, where can they go and buy it?
No, the best, you know, Amazon.com's got it, BarnesandNoble.com. You know, at events, I'm at the event signing the book, but obviously there's none right now. So, but yeah, online, you just get it online. And the best, you know, the audiobook, I recorded the audiobook. It was, one of the toughest things I ever did. It's funny. Because at an Ironman race, I'm usually on site talking by 5 a.m. and I'm done at midnight, and that's 19 hours. Wow. The book took me just over 19 hours to record, over 2 days. And it just was, it was difficult. You know, when you're reading something and I'm reading as me, and sometimes I'd get into a mode and the director would go, that didn't sound like you. Okay. You know, you go back and you do it over again. But I'm really glad I did it. People, you know, tell me you have to, it's got to be your voice. So the audio book is the easiest thing to get. You got it right away. So I'd say, you know, if we're at a race and you can buy the book and I sign it, that's great. That's happened a lot, which is kind of nice, but you can go to audible.com or go to Amazon and get the audio book. And
I see that you can buy it on your website as well, right? So, and you do a special offer as well?
Yeah, I've got a special offer now of you can buy so this is only for US because I can't ship overseas. And I can do a video recording, say you're an Ironman or, you know, good for you or congratulations. So people have been buying that. And we're looking at just doing video recordings in the future off my website, MikeReilly.net.
Brilliant. Okay, thanks very much. And you've got something going on in the background as well. Now, normally you're blurred out. What's going on there?
Well, with the whiteboard?
Yeah. You planning something?
The whiteboard was my book process of, I got to hit this by this date. I want this chapter done by this date. Then you erase it off. And yeah, I've got a few things on there. I've had an idea for a children's book, so I've got that up on the board right now. I'm finding out children's books are a really tough process. I self-publish my book, but a children's book is very hard to self-publish. So I'm looking at that and, you know, thinking about book number 2, but I don't, you know, part of me says I don't want it to be more of the same, but more of the same is not such a bad thing because there's a lot more stories that need to be told. And when I get to tell those stories from my point of view because of what I've seen and possibly the relationship I built with that person, people just tell me I want more of this. So we're looking at that. I mean, if I'd have known, you know, I'm glad I didn't know this COVID was coming. I could have planned in November, December. All right, let's start a book in February. I would have probably had one done by now, but it wasn't my goal, so it's not what I did during this.
Well, best of luck with that. And just to wrap up, what are your top tips for anyone that's struggling physically or mentally through this crisis? What would you advise them?
It's never a bad thing to seek help, whether it's a family member. Seek help from someone who's going to tell you the truth. Seek professional help. We can't do this by ourselves. I've talked to people and they've helped me through tough situations. Other family members have, friends have. And every time someone does that, they go, God, I'm glad I talked to so-and-so. It pushed me forward to maybe go down a different direction or get other help. So it's not weakness to find help. We can't always do it by ourselves. We need a path, and sometimes others give us that path. So that's my number one piece of advice. Don't sit there and wallow in your room or, by yourself. When you're with others, you've got more creative juices are flowing, your mind's going. You can't sit down in front of the computer screen for 3 hours on end because it's not productive. I mean, our brain starts shutting down after 18 minutes in front of that screen. So you got to get up, do some push-ups, jumping jacks, get back down. It's funny. I always say to people, inside what you need to do. You don't need to be told.
Yeah.
If you're struggling with weight, if you're struggling with fitness, if you're struggling with mental health, something inside of you is saying something to you that you need to listen to. And if it's going out and seeking help with others, that's what you do. If it's going running around the block, doing a sprint, breathing hard, that's what you do. So we're always telling ourselves what we need to do. We just don't listen all the time. And so that's my advice. I mean, just seek help and get your butt off the couch.
Well, hopefully people can take part in the Ironman VR series, or just do a couch to 5K, or even do something called the Bring Sally Up Challenge, which is a press up challenge I've been doing.
That's cool.
And definitely people need to seek help. And so if you are struggling, please do make sure. What I'll do is I'll post some links below to a couple of charities. One is called Mind, and the other the Samaritans, and that's for the UK. For the US, who would people contact, Mike?
IRONMANFoundation.org. You can go there, and they've got so many different avenues and vehicles you can do to donate. You can become part of the Ironman Foundation team and race on behalf of them in your home country, city, wherever it may be.
Brilliant. No, thank you very much. And thank you for joining me today. Now, just to finish, where can people find you on social media? We've mentioned your website, but where can they follow your journey over the next few months and years?
Well, it's really hard. I'm Twitter and Instagram at Ironman Voice. Sure. I've got a Facebook page, mike.reilly.ironman. You can go to that. But I put a lot of stuff on Instagram and social media, and my son's my marketing manager, so he does a lot of that too. So that's where you can go. I'm pretty easy to find. People send me messages via Facebook and Instagram, and I answer 99, almost every one of them. So amazing. If you want to write and ask me something or tell me a story on my website, you can actually, there's a portion on mikereilly.net. Tell me your story, because I love hearing about your story. And sometimes it helps people in their healing process to be able to tell someone their story. It's between me and them. I don't share them. They're just, I listen to their stories.
Thanks very much, Mike. And thanks also for joining us today. It's been very much appreciated.
Well, I'm glad you're doing something like this, Ian, because, mental health is always something that is under the carpet and it's hard to talk about, but people need to talk about it.
Brilliant. Thank you. And thanks to you guys for joining us. Please do stay tuned. We've got more athletes, those in the wellbeing community and those who support athletes as well, coming up. Thanks very much for joining us. All the best.